Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. You can follow me there. And today, I want to talk about the 49ers Madden 26 ratings, which just released. Plus, I'll have another training camp recap for you. And of course, stick around until later in the show where we will finish up our roster ranking series. It's been a long journey, but it's time for it to end. Before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. It's that time of year, folks. Madden 26 is right around the corner. And now that the ratings are released online, we get to see how the 49ers stack up against the rest of the league, at least in a video game. And looking at these ratings, the top end talent is there. The Niners have no 99 overalls, but George Kittle comes in at a 98, and Fred Warner and Trent Williams are both 97. Nick Bosa and Christian McCaffrey are 95 and 94 respectively, and they round out the top 5. Nobody else on the team is over 90 overall, but still, 5 players over 90 is still really good. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that that's tied for the third most players over 90 overall in the league. The Ravens are number 1 with 9 players over 90. Oh my goodness. Brock Purdy, back on track, comes in at an 84 overall. That's tied for the 11th best quarterback in the league. And I think that's pretty fair. If I were ranking the league's quarterbacks, I'd put him somewhere between 10th and 12th, right? That feels fine to me. Michael Williams got a solid rookie rating, 78 overall. Very nice. Some guys got completely robbed, though. Diamador Lenore is only an 82. You know, I was talking to some friends of mine after I posted the Breakout Candidates video way back in the day. And I listed Lenore as a breakout candidate for this team, and my friends were saying, no, everyone knows how good Lenore is. How could he break out? He's already broken out. And then you look at the Madden ratings, and he's an 82. That is way too low. That's ridiculous. Hopefully this is the year that the world knows just how good Diamador Lenore really is. Malik Mustafa is only a 74, and my glorious king, CJ West, only a 68 overall in his rookie year. D. Winters, though, who's a starter for this team, comes in at 67. That is ridiculous to me. He should be at least a 70, in my opinion. 70 is not even very high. I'm not saying D. Winters should be an 80 or anything like that, but a 67? That's ridiculous. Now, the people in charge of Madden ratings are Cowboys fans, so it is no surprise that some Niners got lower ratings than they deserve. But hey, they'll get a chance to prove the haters wrong this season. Now, the highest speed on the team is a tie between Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins. Both of those guys have 93 speed, and Isaac Guerrero is just below them at a 92, tied with a bunch of other guys. Are you going to be buying Madden 26 this year? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know if I will, probably not, but we will see. Now, folks, it's time for another training camp recap, talking about all the best moments of Tuesday's practice. The team is going to have an off day on Wednesday, then they'll have a joint practice Thursday with the Denver Broncos, and then another off day on Friday before preseason week 1 on Saturday night. The Niners have made yet another wide receiver signing on Tuesday. They cut receiver Andy Isabella, who got hurt on Monday, and they brought back Equanimous St. Brown, who was just on this team earlier. Speaking of injuries, though, there was a big group of players working out and rehabbing on the side field, including Nick Bosa. Now, on Monday, Kyle said that there was nothing wrong with Nick Bosa, but today was his 3rd straight missed practice, and he was working out with a trainer on the side field. ESPN's Nick Wagner said that it's being described as soreness for Bosa, and he should be okay to go for joint practice and for the preseason game. But there may be something to watch here. Hopefully he's all fine by Thursday, but, just keep an eye out. Andre Dillard, offensive tackle, one of the guys on that side field, apparently looks pretty good and pretty close to a return. This is coming from reporter Rob Lauder. Now, Tuesday was a pretty competitive day at camp, and let's go over some of the best moments and the best players from Tuesday. I think that's got to start with Upton Stout versus Ricky Pearsall. These two went at it again on Tuesday, and Stout won both of their 1v1 reps. But Stout seemed to be the only guy who could guard Ricky, who had at least 4 catches for nice chunk gains with the first team offense. Him and Purdy are continuing to build that chemistry, right? Speaking of chemistry, the Purdy to Kittle connection continued Tuesday with a beautiful touchdown pass that split the safeties. But there was some resistance today. Richie Grant picked off a throw intended for Kittle that Purdy left high and kind of behind George. And also, Diamador Lenore got in on the action and broke up a pass for Kittle. Going back to Upton Stout, though, he had one of his best days of camp on Tuesday. He won those 1v1 reps against Pearsall. He came screaming in on a blitz that would have demolished Purdy for a sack, and he had the play of the day by diving and breaking up a pass for Christian McCaffrey, who was streaking up the seam for a touchdown. Stout stock is through the roof right now. I cannot wait to see him versus the Broncos. I love what Stout is doing at camp. Dallas Flowers, also a cornerback, has shown some flashes in nearly every practice, and while the consistency has not always been there with him, he's starting to separate from Trey Brown and Darrell Luter Jr. on the depth chart. UDFA corner Jacob Robinson is also really starting to compete. He locked up Robbie Chosen in 1v1s, and although Robinson was on the wrong end of a couple big catches today, he's been consistently in the mix and active at the catch point. He tipped a pass from Mac Jones to DeMarcus Robinson, but DeMarcus secured it anyways and took it to the house. Later, Mac tossed one up for Jordan Watkins, who brought down the catch despite pass interference from Jacob Robinson. I'm really curious to see how Robinson looks in preseason, and honestly, I'm rooting for him. I hope he can make some big plays and make this 53-man roster. Mac Jones had those two big plays against Jacob Robinson, and he's really building chemistry with Jordan Watkins. As for the kicking update, Jake Moody went 5 for 6 in his kicks, only missing a 55-yarder. And there was a fight towards the end of practice, actually. I was looking around for the info. I couldn't find exactly who was involved, but I believe it was between Connor Colby, the rookie, and a defensive lineman with the second-team defense. We'll see who that was. Maybe Kalia Davis, maybe somebody else. Who knows? There were a couple more standout moments from Tuesday, though, including beautiful coverage from D. Winters on Christian McCaffrey down the sideline on 4th down, forced an incomplete pass. Covering McCaffrey one-on-one, that is a tough ask for any linebacker. So if Winters can do that sort of thing, he may be in for a big season. And for some rookie updates, CJ West ran with the first team defense for the first time on Tuesday. Viewers of this channel may know I am a huge CJ West fan, and my official prediction is that he's going to start week 1 of the regular season, and it looks like he's on his way. West has also been matching up with Jake Brendel in 1v1 drills, and he's been doing well, but he's definitely not as dominant as he was going up against the backups. Jordan James got a lot of reps, and he looked explosive today. And finally, on the rookie front, both Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams got shout-outs from Robert Saleh in his press conference. He said that they're both continuing to improve and getting better every single day. Speaking of Saleh, he was apparently cooking up some nasty stunts and blitzes on Tuesday. And we probably won't see any of that in the preseason or during joint practices because you want to keep that stuff kind of secret. But just know that Saleh is cooking behind the scenes. Now it's on to our last segment, which is the finale of our roster ranking series. Today we're going to be ranking the top 10 players on the Niners roster. Our stars, our superstars, the core of the team. Let me know down below in the comments who you think deserves to be number 1. At number 10, I'm going to go with guard Dominic Pooney. Now, Pooney was awesome last year for San Francisco in his rookie year. During the offseason, he slid right into that starting right guard spot, and he never looked back. He showed off some phenomenal run blocking, and although he had some ups and downs in pass protection, it's clear that Pooney does have Pro Bowl potential. He's already an above-average guard, and he's a locked-in starter for this team for hopefully years to come. Definitely the second-best lineman on this team, behind, of course, Trent Williams. Number 9 now is the fan favorite, wide receiver Jauan Jennings. Third and Jauan, not just a role player anymore. When both Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk had awful, injury-riddled seasons, Jennings took a massive step up and became this team's X-receiver. It was a career year for Jennings, and Niners fans know just how good this dude really is. It's crazy to think that he was actually cut as a rookie before signing back with the practice squad as a 7th-round pick. I mean, can you imagine if he had gone somewhere else? I believe he was dealing with an injury that year, which is why he was cut, but thank goodness he stuck around in San Francisco. Fun fact, the 7th-round pick that became Jauan Jennings was actually traded from the Lions for linebacker Eli Harold, all the way back in 2018. Who remembers Eli Harold? That's a throwback for some Niner fans out there. Anyways, back on track. Number 8 is not Eli Harold. It's another wide receiver. And yes, it's Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk has caught a lot of heat from 49ers fans over the last, I don't know, probably year and a half. And honestly, I think a lot of it is undeserved. Yeah, the contract negotiations last year were drawn out. They were. Yes, he likes to post on social media. Yes, he tore his ACL, right? That sucks. But a lot of the fans seem to just conveniently forget how good Ayuk really was when he was healthy. In 2023, Ayuk was the best receiver that the 49ers have seen since 2021 Debo, and he was the best true receiver since maybe Terrell Owens. Ayuk was awesome, a second-team All-Pro in that Super Bowl year, and it was deserved. And while he did have some drops to start last year before the injury happened, you saw in that Cardinals game why they paid him all that money. And in the meantime, I love that Ayuk's been so present at practices, catching up a young receiver room, coaching them up. It's a receiver room that really needs the coaching, really needs the help. Anyways, I hope Ayuk can get back to his old self after this injury because, man, he was special. Now, moving on to number 7, I've got my guy, QB1, Brock Purdy. We all know Brock's story by this point, right? Mr. Irrelevant, pick 256 or 262. I think it was 262. He started out as the 4th string quarterback before rising up the ranks and becoming a starter, taking this team to the NFC Championship and to the Super Bowl. Now, last year wasn't great statistically for Brock, and if you watch the tape, you'd know he had to play quite a bit of hero ball to compensate for the shaky situation around him. The run game was decimated by injuries. There was a rotating cast of receivers, a wildly inconsistent defense. It was just really tricky to play complementary football for Brock last year. That's not even mentioning the special teams. But this year, if he can go back to playing in structure and not forcing the big play, I think he's really ready for a massive bounce back year. And the deep ball has been on point in camp so far. Just something to watch going forward. Maybe we see some more deep shots out of this Kyle Shanahan offense this year. Although it feels like this is maybe the 3rd year in a row that we've been saying that. Number 6 is one of my favorite players in the NFL, the Hyena, Deommodore Lenoir, the 82 overall player in Madden 26. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Not only is Lenoir the best defensive back on this roster, he's also such a culture setter. He plays with the exact sort of violence and ruthlessness that the Niners just love on their defenders. This offseason, Lenoir's actually been going back and forth with Jackson Smith-Njigba and Kenneth Walker of the Seahawks, because he is one of the biggest smack talkers on this entire roster, and man, can he back it up. I remember Lenoir actually went live on Instagram when DK Metcalf was traded, and he was saying he was all sad because no one else on the Seahawks gave him any trash talk back. He was saying it won't be fun to play the Seahawks anymore because DK's not there to do a little jawing back and forth. Demo, man, I love him. He's that guy, and I hope he shows the world just how good he really is this year. We are into the top 5 now, and I'd like to call this group a bit of a tier break, okay? These top 5 players are all unbelievably good. I mean, best in the world type of players when they're performing. Get in the comments and guess who you think is going to be number 1, because I think you could honestly argue any of these 5 as the best player on the 49ers. But someone's got to be number 5. And at 5, I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, what is there to say about CMC that hasn't already been said? He's part of this absolute golden age of running backs who came into the league in the late 2010s. I mean, guys like Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, all these just incredible backs. And when McCaffrey's healthy, I'd argue he's just as good as any of them, if not better. He's maybe the best receiving back we have ever seen in the NFL. He's such a smooth route runner, and he's got phenomenal hands. He's so reliable in that facet of the game. I really think if he wanted to, Christian McCaffrey could be a Pro Bowl slot receiver for an NFL team. He is just that good. And, that's not to mention, he's got a lot to offer as a runner as well. He's got phenomenal vision, phenomenal speed, underrated power. McCaffrey's just an absolute nightmare to match up with. I'll never forget the day we traded for him. I couldn't believe my eyes. And sometimes I still have to pinch myself when I remember that, yeah, he really is a 49er. We're very lucky. At number 4 now is another trade acquisition. It's the Silverback, the first ballot Hall of Famer, Trent Williams. Trent is a ridiculous athlete, right? Even into his late 30s, he's a god-tier run blocker and a top 5 pass blocker in the NFL, even still. He's a legit weapon in the run game. His ability to pull and move in space, it's pivotal to the success of the Niners run game the past few years. I feel like this Trent Williams trade is not talked about enough as one of the best trades of the past decade, or maybe more. The fact that they were able to get Trent Williams, as good as he's been, for only a third and a fifth round pick, that's insanely good value. And yeah, Trent is getting older, right? I don't think he's far and away the number one player on this list, but he's absolutely still in that tier. At number 3 now, getting down to the wire, I'm going with Fred Warner. Fred is without a doubt the best linebacker in the NFL. I don't think that's arguable, And he's the best linebacker of this generation as well. He's got the violence and the quick trigger speed to go sideline to sideline and blow up the run game. He's a modern linebacker through and through, but he's not too light to really brawl in the trenches. He's absurdly fast, and he's the best cover linebacker in football, and one of the best cover linebackers this league has ever seen, if we're being honest. I really think he's in that Luke Kuechly tier of elite cover linebackers. You know, he's just absurdly athletic. He's an A-plus human being. He's the heart and soul of this defense. I'm just gushing over Fred Warner here because, especially after losing Dre Greenlaw, I think the Niners need him more than they ever have. I think that if he gets a Super Bowl ring and maybe a Defensive Player of the Year award, he's on his way to Canton for the Hall of Fame. But at bare minimum, I think Fred is a lock for the 2020s All-Decade team. Personally, I think he's a Hall of Famer, but you may have to convince some other people outside the Niners fandom. Only 2 guys left now, and at number 2, it's Nick Bosa. The former Defensive Player of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year has been nothing less than a franchise cornerstone for the Niners since they drafted him number 2 overall. Last year, his stats didn't match up with how good he really is, but with his power combined with his absolutely perfect technique, he's just completely unblockable one-on-one. He changes the way that teams play offense, and sometimes it still doesn't matter. Bosa's special. And this year, he's probably going to pass Charles Haley on the all-time 49ers sack leaderboard. He's 27 sacks behind Bryant Young, who's currently the leader. I think it's nearly guaranteed that Bosa will retire with the 49ers record. I mean, that would be 3 years with 9 sacks. And I mean, he just had 9 sacks last year, and everyone's talking about how that's a down year, right? So I think Bosa will retire as the all-time sack leader for the 49ers. He's already got the most sacks in playoff history for San Francisco. Fun fact, number 2 on that list, former 49er Eric Armstead. Not who I would have guessed, but, shout out to Eric. Fun fact, Bosa's also really close to the all-time record for most forced fumbles in 49ers history. Patrick Willis leads that category, and I do think that Bosa will pass him up by the time he retires. Now, of course, with Bosa at number 2, that means there's only one guy left. The people's tight end, George Kittle, is my number 1 player on the 49ers roster. He has been spectacular since Brock Purdy took over at quarterback. Those two have just awesome chemistry, and Kittle's clearly the best tight end in the NFL, in my opinion. His ability as a receiver is up there with the best of the best. He's phenomenal over the middle and in contested catch situations. He's got soft hands, and he's still got some of that speed that helped him set the record for most yards by a tight end in NFL history. And that's not even to mention his blocking. Kittle's the best blocking tight end in the entire league. When you are a player that can impact the pass game, the run game, and score touchdowns, you're a very valuable player. When you do all 3 of those things as well or better than anyone else at your position in the NFL, you're a unicorn. George Kittle is a unicorn. He's the soul of the team, and I hope that he is a 49er for life because he's just that good. Now that concludes the roster ranking series, and man, this has been a lot of fun going through and ranking every single player on the 90-man roster. My list is already a little outdated. There's some guys that have really surprised me in training camp that deserve to be way higher than they are. And I think there's some guys that I've overrated a little bit as well. Maybe down the road, I'll do a review segment where I go through this list and update it. Let me know down below if that's something that you're excited to see. Of course, leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.